You're listening to the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. Indiana in the Morning. We are brought to you by First Commonwealth Bank. And joining us somewhere on the road this morning is Bob Pollock. Bob, good morning.
Good morning.
Where exactly are you?
I'm in Winchester, Virginia.
Ah, I have been there. What takes you down to apple country?
Well, actually, fruit takes me here. The 95th Cumberland Shenandoah Fruit Workers Conference is being held here. It's an annual event, and been here a long time, but it brings researchers and a lot of graduate students and that are working on fruit projects, looking at trying to, whether it's a insect issue, a disease issue, a production horticulture plant issue. All those folks are here that are doing their research, and they're sharing that. So they have everything split up into sections and 15-minute segments, and each person gives an update on what they're working on. So it's a great way to kind of get immersed in what's happening. And there's people here from the New England states and Cornell and New Jersey and Michigan and North Carolina. So it's quite a collection of folks that are all working together trying to improve and solve problems related to the fruit production.
Are there specific items that you're interested in that you want to bring that information back here to Indiana County?
Well, yes. I'm trying to get into I go through the schedule and I highlight talks and subjects that I want to know more about, and then I'll go to those and try to, understand what they're doing and what they're doing to address the problem, and or sometimes it's a new problem. On in fact, all day Wednesday, we were talking about a syndrome, is what they're calling it, but they're tagging it rapid apple decline, and they're seeing this in multiple states where on new plantings of trees within the it's really been happening since 2013. So really the last 5 to 6 years, they'll plant new plantings, and within that time frame, all of a sudden, you might have one tree die here and 2 or 3 in a group die here, and it's just sporadic like that. But each year, more trees are dying, and that's as they're trying to get these trees to grow and fill in and become productive. You can even have a tree with fruit on it, and the leaves are all brown. So during the growing season, they're dying. So all day Wednesday, different people were sharing what they're seeing, all the different testing. There's been a lot of testing, so they'll just pull trees out of the ground, they'll look at the root system, and just trying to sort out all the known things that we know can kill a tree, and that's from, it might be mechanical damage, where the tree trunk gets damaged, to Phytophthora, which is a disease-causing organism that kills the root system. So they've tested for fire blight and Phytophthora and nematodes and a whole series of things. And with some of the testing that they can do now, they can really start to include things or not include things that need to still be considered, or rule things in or rule things out. So that was pretty interesting to hear what's going on, what some people think it might be, and some things that have been ruled out. But definitely, there's been no clear causes identified. I think they're getting it narrowed down, and then one of the goals was to also identify further areas that need to be looked at more closely, that people can start to work on to help maybe pinpoint this thing, because it's been very costly to growers that have been affected by it.
Now, Bob, has that been a problem for young apple trees here in Indiana County?
Not very much, no, which is good. And one of the production systems have changed pretty dramatically within the industry, in that people are planting these high-density orchards, which, if you go back 50 years, that didn't exist. And even within the last 10 to 15 years, that really has ramped up to where we have trees that might be planted 3 feet apart in a row. They're on very dwarfing rootstocks, and there's a combination of those. And that's one of the things they're looking at in this decline is, okay, what varieties are affected, what rootstocks are affected. There's a number of newer rootstocks that have been introduced that are cause dwarfing or keep the trees small. Over time, they've found that a smaller tree can be more productive than our old standard trees that we used to plant maybe 25 feet apart and 25 feet between rows because they grew into a 30-foot tree. And you had to climb ladders to prune, to harvest, and all that. So there's been a number of reasons, with productivity being one of those, that has brought the tree down. They might only be 6 or 8 or 10 feet tall. The newest systems, one of them is called a slender spindle, where you have a very, you might call it a Charlie Brown tree, maybe. So just a main trunk with some smaller branches. They keep the tree small, but they can make it go vertical. They keep it narrow in the row, and they might plant 3 or 4 feet apart in the row, and they all have to be trellised. But those trees, on a per-acre basis, are very productive. And the other thing pushing some of this is the potential ability to mechanically harvest fruit. We used to have to completely do that all by hand, and today it's very challenging to get enough labor to do that. So people are developing harvest machines. It may still take some people, but they've got equipment that now can assist in that process, make it a lot easier, take less people, and in fact, in a lot of cases, reduce any potential damage to the fruit that's being picked from bruising and dropping and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Have you witnessed any of those machines in operation?
Yes, there are. And that goes from, they have machines that can go down a row that'll help do blossom thinning, so that helps reduce the crop load to begin with. A lot of times trees will overproduce on their own, so they have to be thinned in order to get good quality fruit of a good size and a good pack out. So they have machines that'll do that. They've got pruning machines that can go down the row. They have this harvest assist systems where it can be computer controlled, so you don't need a tractor driver. You might have people standing on a platform that's going down the tree row, and you still have a person picking the fruit, but then they put it in a bag in front of them like they used to do, a sack, but it has air vacuum, and so you put an apple in there and it gets sucked into a tube, and then it gets delivered to a bin, which is pretty amazing that you could send an apple through a chute tube, and that it could then kind of go down a tray and then get put in a bin and be good. But it's amazing some of the technology that's being developed to help do that. and then these platforms are probably the more common thing that has arisen from this, where you can have multiple people that just ride on this platform, that once you GPS the rows, the computer remembers that, and so you can go up and down rows, and an operator can change the speed to make it faster or slower. These platforms are on hydraulics so that the platform always stays level, even though, in our terrain, we don't have very many level spots. It's always changing, so it will adjust and keep that platform level for the workers that are on there. They might be pruning, they might be harvesting, doing other activities on there. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, Bob, have a nice day, and we will welcome you back to Indiana County and Indiana in the Morning next Friday.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, Bob Pollock joining us this morning here on The Voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. A reminder that our interviews are presented and protected by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Coming up later this morning, we're going to be speaking with representatives of the IUP